I have owned this Ford F-150 hybrid truck for about 14 months and 12,000 miles. And this is my long-term update, the good, the bad, and the ugly. In this video, I'm gonna show you my oil analysis report from my recent oil change, all of the things I've learned about this truck over the last year plus. So let's get going right away. I'm gonna start with the good, then go to the bad, and then the ugly parts behind the ownership of this F-150. Let's start with the great part. This truck was never out of service over the last 14 months. It never left me in need of another vehicle. I mean, it is a brand new truck, so it should do that. And I spent exactly $0 on maintenance and service, although I did do an oil change and some service behind it. But my first oil change was covered under the points I earned by purchasing the truck, so that was sweet. The powertrain is a great part of this truck, and I'm talking about the power and the torque and the speed. I did a 0 to 60 test. You've probably seen that already on TFL truck. Well, here, let me roll that clip. No way! No, that can't be. 5.61. Yeah, 430 horsepower, 570 pound-feet of torque, 10-speed automatic, 5.6 seconds 0 to 60. Oh boy, that's insanely quick for this truck. I did buy the FX4 off-road package, and it's actually surprisingly good off-road. It does come, of course, with low-range gearing, a rear locking differential. The tires are not great, but that's a story for a little bit later. And yeah, I've got it scratched a couple times. This was when I was off-roading in the snow with Tommy. Here's the clip.
Taking a different line so he doesn't hit the tree. Good line, Andre.
Oof. I did brush the tree a little. And this was when I was off-roading with Nathan. He was in the Tremor, and I was in this truck. What happened? Oh. Do you have a chainsaw? That's touching. So, I think I may just be able to squeak by with one scratch. Let me try it. Okay guys, I will never do this again. This is the report I got from Blackstone Labs. I sent my oil sample there, and this is what they provided. Note, the universal averages show typical mature 3.5 liter EcoBoost twin turbo wear at about 6,500 miles. 0.8% fuel is very minor, and 2.4 total base number TBN shows active additives left over. And then they recommend the next oil change after about 8,500 miles. The engine is pretty healthy, and this was after me using it very hard, towing trailers on the iGauntlet, off-roading, and of course, charging electric cars while towing them. One of the primary reasons why I bought the F-150 hybrid is back here. All other pickup trucks currently on the market, the new ones, wish they had this. I'm talking about the inverter system, of course, in the back. Because it's a hybrid, because it has a 1.5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery, it also has this capability, 240 volts, 7.2 kilowatt total output. Yeah, many options. And this allowed me to do some really fun things. For example, Tommy and I took one of our electric cars, the Chevy Spark. We ran the Spark out of energy, put it on the trailer, and this truck was towing it while charging that car, and it worked beautifully. Here's a clip. All right, Tommy, as they say, welcome to the future, right?
Yep.
All right, let's plug in. We're all loaded. We are tied down. The car is secure. Is this good enough, you think, right there?
Yeah, let's make sure that the box is on, though. Box is on, the car beeped.
Car beeped.
We're charging, buddy.
I was super impressed by this. And also, I was able to power a house with my friend Justin. Yeah, you can also see that on TFL truck. We tried it twice and finally got it to work. All right, let's give it a go. We're plugging into the 240 volt. So now the truck is connected to the house using your special plug you put in, right?
Yes, correct.
And now should we flip the switch?
Okay. So,
no way!
all the lights came on.
The lights came on.
Just as I expected.
I have a couple of other upgrades to my truck. First, the Weathertech floor mats. I used to be really a fan of vinyl floors like this work truck offers, but after living with it for more than a year, yes, I can wipe this down, but it never really looks great, and I can't really spray it out because the water pools sometimes underneath the seat. These Weathertech mats resolve that problem. And yes, they're one of our sponsors here on the channel, but I love the Weathertech website. It's very easy to use. F-150 has 1,000 different configurations. They have these molded, beautifully fit front and rear mats. Yeah, the fitment in the rear is also really great, and I was able to incorporate my storage box and actually have this floor mat go underneath it, because this is not the stock box on this F-150. So I'm super happy. I have a floor mat that goes all the way under, so it protects my floor and I can easily wash it out. Since I am thinking about upgrading my tires to larger ones and leveling the truck, I got these WeatherTech mud flaps as well. Super easy to install, no drilling. I did it myself. Even a dummy like me can do this in actually like 15 minutes for basically all of them. The fuel efficiency of this truck is good and bad. Let me explain. First, the great part, range. As you can see, I'm just above a half full and it's showing 438 miles to empty. I've seen total range near about 650 miles in the real world, which is amazing for any pickup truck. So that's great. My long-term fuel efficiency after about 5,000 miles is about 21.4, and this is combined on highway and city. That doesn't match 23 mpg combined that the EPA and Ford state for the F-150 hybrid, so it's a little bit disappointing to me. Right here under towing, I can quickly show you my towing efficiency. For example, while towing 8,100 pounds, trailer trip, about 12.8 mpg after 162 miles. And then, for example, my boat, about 13 mpg after about 300 miles. So real world towing efficiency is also really, really good with this truck. I've been very pleased with these seats. They're cloth, they're very basic, but they're wearing very nicely, as you can kind of tell, and they're pretty comfortable as well. I cannot say the same thing about the plastics around the truck, like on the doors. They show scratches very easily. Yeah, the plastics are not great, but the seats are really, really good. And before I really dig into the bad things about this truck, I wanted to show you the other thing I love is the Ford Pass app. It has many very useful features. I can monitor my tire pressures anytime I want, from anywhere I want. My oil life. I can schedule a service. I've done that for my first oil change. It worked great. Then I can also track all of my service history. How cool is that? Even when I go to actually sell this truck, I can show this to the next owner. And this $100, I told you I spent $0 on maintenance. That was taken care of by the points I have after purchasing the truck. So I actually paid $0 for this first service on the truck. And then, yeah, let's transition to the bad stuff. Remember how I told you the Ford Pass app is awesome? Yes, it is. It also shows me my recalls and my engine lights that I've had, about 3 of them in the last year. And so the engine malfunction lights have been interesting because I know what it is, because it says it's a misfire of the engine. And it only happened on the coldest days in like November or October and also December. And That was when I was filling up. So something was happening where maybe the fuel quality wasn't quite right, the engine misfired when it was cold, and after the next restart, those warnings went away. So those are just a couple of glitches I experienced. And the recall is actually about reprogramming my trailer brake controller. I've never had a problem with my trailer brake controller, but according to this, it could be an issue and I need to go to the dealer, it says. It cannot be done over the air. After 12,000 miles, these Pirelli Scorpion ATRs are wearing okay, not horrible yet. I mean, after another about probably 20,000 miles, I'll probably have to change these for sure. And off-road, they were surprisingly good, but I just think the diameter of this tire is just not good. And yeah, that's one of the bad parts about it. I need to go to a slightly bigger tire. I was torn about this. When I ordered the truck, I ordered it with the extendable towing mirrors. And yes, for towing, they're amazing. But turns out, when I looked at the data, as you saw in my trailer management app, I towed about 10% of my time with this truck. Not a lot. So on a daily drive, these mirrors are a little bit too big, I would say, and they may cut a little bit of fuel efficiency, and they're also bulky for parking. But this brings me to another not so great bad thing. When Mr. Truck and I went on the I-Gauntlet and also the Vale Pass towing trip, pushing this truck near its maximum, it had an overheating issue. Here's the video clip.
I'm wide open throttle.
You are?
I have been for quite a while. See, that's the thing about this road. You have no idea when it goes up or when it goes down. You can't tell by looking at it. Power reduced to lower engine temperatures.
Look at the temperature gauge. We're full hot.
Oh, okay, you're right. You're right. I was trying to figure these out.
The coolant
Transmission's running a little hot too.
We followed all the regulations. We were towing, about 9,500 pounds. And the truck did not leave us stranded. It pulled back power, it gave us the warning, and actually cooled off after a short period of time and allowed us to keep moving and keep towing further. So yes, that was not a great thing. If you're buying this truck for towing near 10,000 pounds, which it's rated for, but doing it in the mountains in the summer, maybe you should get a bigger truck, maybe even a 3/4 ton for heavier trailers. But towing boats, 6,000 pounds or 8,000 pound trailers, this truck does beautifully in that weight category. The other bad part of this truck were the headlights. They're very basic, not very bright at night. I fixed this issue with F-150LEDs.com. They are also a sponsor of TFL Truck, or at least they were last year. And I replaced these bulbs myself. It wasn't super easy. To make it easier, what I had to do is I removed this lower piece of fascia. There's a couple of screws here in the wheel well. That allowed me to get to the bolt to remove the grill that came as one piece, and then replacing the bulbs was super easy, but you can't reach behind it and change it simpler than that. Let's start the ugly portion of this video underneath, and it has to do with some of the rust that I found under this truck just weeks after actually taking delivery of it. Some of the portions of the axle, the differential, some of the suspension hanger components here in the back were already showing surface rust. I contacted Ford about it. They said it's just cosmetic, not functional concern of any kind, but I actually took some Rust-Oleum paint and actually touched up a lot of it a few months ago, and it's still holding up. So yeah, not something you want to see on a brand new truck, but it was kind of an easy fix. Before I get to my final verdict and let you know, would I do this again? Would I purchase the F-150 hybrid again? I wanted to tell you about one of the ugly parts I think this truck has. And really it's the stance of it. It's got a lot of rake. This is still a stock suspension setup. The front is fairly low. The rear is high. It does have good payload, about 1,700 pounds. And when you put the load on this truck, it does become level. But overall, running unladen, the stance I think needs to be fixed, and I'm planning to do it with my leveling kit probably in a few months. Now let's get to the verdict. When I purchased this truck brand new, it was about $51,000 give and take MSRP. And is it worth it? Would I do it again? Well, it's a two-part answer. For me personally, I think this truck has worked out really well. I love new tech, the new Powertrain here. I learned a lot about it. It was really cool to actually charge electric cars with this truck and powerhouse. I had a lot of fun going on vacations in this truck as well. It's quite comfortable. So yeah, for me personally, this truck has been worth it. But this hybrid powertrain is premium. It cost me about $5,000 almost to upgrade to this power plant. So if you are more value minded, if you're driving long distances, not a lot of city driving, I would recommend maybe going with like a 2.7 liter EcoBoost. If you don't want that inverter capability, just save a couple grand, $2,000-3,000. Still, you will have approximately the same overall efficiency. So that's my two-part answer. If you don't need all the extra features of the hybrid, save some money and buy a less complicated power plant. As always, this is Andre. Go back to tfltruck.com or tfl-studios.com for everything automotive. By the way, tfl-studios.com has now been revamped and it's better than ever.